A British man named Alf Pritchett was killed in World War I before 1918, but we have a recording of him speaking clearly in 1960. How is that possible? Pritchett came into the room where a direct voice medium named Leslie Flint was sitting. In these videos, you will hear Alf Pritchett speaking from the afterlife about what happened after his transition to the next life, what his life is like there, and his surprising reunion with a sister he didn't realize he had. Hello, I'm Dr. R. Craig Hogan, President of the Afterlife Research and Education Institute and Seek Reality Online. I'm the author of 8 books with the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that you will come to the end of this life, but you will never die. Alf Pritchett's body was blown up in an explosion in World War I, but he was still very much alive. He came through in a Leslie Flint session and spoke clearly about his experiences when he entered the afterlife and what he experienced there. This is the 4th of 4 videos. Links to the other videos are in the descriptions below. We are presenting his words as spoken by a narrator because the recording of his voice was unclear at times and he spoke with a thick English accent. If you're interested, you can listen to the actual recording of Alf Pritchett speaking at the link in the description below.
So I thought, well, I'm in a funny predicament here. So the best thing's to keep your mouth shut and listen and say little, you know. Anyway, eventually the time came when this friend who'd brought me here came over to me again and he says, I want to show you something. So I said, oh, all right, mate. So I went with him and we went outside and he took me down another street. There were houses there. Very attractive they was, with little balconies and flowers and, oh, beautiful flowers. I've never seen such flowers. And he took me down the end of this road and we came out to a big square. It was like a sort of street square off a street, you see? And there was a big fountain playing in the middle, and I could hear music. Oh, it was smashing. Wonderful music it was, beautiful music, and I thought, this is real nice. It reminded me of the old days when I used to sit in the park and listen to the band. But this band was something out of the, well, I was going to say, out of this world. Well, it was. It was magnificent. Playing away there, beautiful music. I didn't know what it was, but it was marvelous music. And I saw these instrumentalists sitting down and they looked real marvelous, they did. The funny thing is they hadn't got uniforms on, they'd got this sort of robe business on. And I thought, well, that looks very nice, but I might look odd in one of them outfits. But anyway, I thought, it's no good thinking about that now. And everything was going on all at the same time in my mind. I was proper sort of bewildered. Anyway, we sat down on a little bench under a beautiful tree, beautiful blossom on it, and I was listening to this music and I was sort of being really carried away. And my friend said to me, like, we often come here and listen to music. It's very pleasant, isn't it? I said, it's very nice. He said, look, you'll find it very restful. You just sit there, I'll leave you there for a little while and I'll come back to you. So I thought, all right. So I just sat there and listened to this lovely music and I really enjoyed that. I was sat there with my eyes closed, sort of listening to this very nice music. And then all of a sudden I had a sort of feeling that there was someone sitting next to me. And I opened my eyes and looked, and there was a very beautiful lady. She was really beautiful, beautiful blonde hair she had, fair, very beautiful. She looked about 19 or 20, and I was really sort of taken aback. And she says, she called me by name, that's right, and I thought, well, that's funny. She knows my name, but I don't know her. So she said, are you finding it all very nice here? So I said, very nice, thank you. Oh, miss? So she said, you don't have to call me miss. Don't you know me? So I said, no, I don't know you. She says, my name is Lily. So I said, Lily? I don't know no Lily. Sorry, I don't want to appear rude, but I don't know you. She says, you don't know me? And yet, she says, that's not surprising in a way. But I'm your sister. I died when I was an infant. Cool, blimey, I thought. I remember my mother says, talking about a little girl that died when she was only a few days old or something, if I remember right. I said, but you can't be her. You're grown up. So she says, that's right. I'm your sister. I died when I was an infant, and I've grown up over here. So I said, well, beats me. I'm very pleased to know you, and I feel quite happy knowing you, but it's still very puzzling to me that you should be my sister. And I never knew her. So she said, oh, don't let that worry you, but I'm going to look after you now you're here. You come with me, and I'm going to take you home. I said, home? She says, yes, home. Anyway, I went with her, and she took me out of this square down a very broad avenue lined with trees. And we branched off, and then we went down a slope, and it seemed as if we were going outside the town all together. And we went out into the countryside, down a beautiful country road, and I could see in the distance some small houses dotted about here and there. Gradually we arrived at a small cottage place. That's the only way I can describe it. It was the nearest thing I'd seen, by the way, to, well, cottages and that I'd seen at home in England. And she eventually stopped at a small place in its own little garden with a little gate and a little porch to the door. Plenty of lovely flowers again, I noticed. And we went into this little place, and off this little passageway on the left, I remember, was this little room, all very cozy and comfortable, nice chairs. And I noticed there was no fireplace, and I thought, oh well, that's odd. Anyway, we sat there talking, and she started talking about me mother and me father and brother that I had still on earth. And she said she often went to see them and had been going to them and me when I was on earth from infancy, and that she had been with me all through the war years. And she couldn't cope. She wasn't with me when I actually died, but she got everything all ready for me. But she knew I'd be coming, and that I'd be brought. And anyway, there I was, and I was going to live with her, and she was going to look after me. And I thought, oh, this is nice. Then I thought, oh, well, I don't know. It's all so strange. Anyway, I settled in, and I stayed with my sister.
We have thousands of these recordings from Leslie Flint's sessions in which people alive and well in the afterlife came into the room where Flint and others were sitting. They speak clearly about their transition to the next life and their lives there. These recordings are further proof that you will come to the end of this life, but you will never die. Links to the videos with the other parts of Pritchett's message recorded in the Leslie Flint sessions are in the descriptions below. A link to the actual recording of Pritchett's voice is in the descriptions also.